Hello, gang. I saw Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy yesterday in central London at the View West End. I was in Screen 5 and I was sat in seat B17 if you'd like to go sniff it. I went with my fiance. I went with like six people actually. It was a full like Valentine's weekend, like fun triple date situation. Went for a meal beforehand. I was all full up on pasta, got myself a lovely dessert. Basically, I was ready to go watch a trashy piece of shit. And I even said to my fiance before, I was like, we know this is going to be shit, but like I'm looking forward to it being shit because I haven't seen a British rom-com, even a shit one, in like a long time because we just don't make rom-coms anymore. It started one of my biggest problems with like legacy sequels, so sequels that come, more than, I don't know, certainly 10 years after the previous one. I know there was Bridget Jones's Baby, but this feels like that didn't really make a mark, and this one's been marketed a lot better, and it feels like, let's just say this is a legacy sequel, right? One of my biggest problems is visually, it doesn't feel authentic anymore. Like you look back at those rom-coms in the 90s and noughties, and there was such a distinct visual style. And it's hard to replicate that now with like, back then it would have been shot on film. Now everything's shot digitally. The lighting techniques are so much different. Even the performance style and everything has kind of developed since then. We're way more self-aware now. But from the start of this, I was like, it didn't even cross my mind. I was like, oh, this feels so authentically and perfectly Bridget Jones, British rom-com. I'm in. Like, I'm in the vibe. I'm in. And I caught myself not realizing that I felt that about half an hour in. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm on for the ride. By which point, it already made me cry once. So Bridget Jones Mad About the Boy. Oh, how do they iterate on Bridget Jones, given that she's like, now she's got kids and it was all about single life and blah, blah. Not that you can't be single when you've got kids. But the way that they do it is so good because Colin Firth, who she had the kids with, has passed away. And it's, instead of it being just about like finding love and happiness, it's also about dealing with grief. It's mainly about dealing with grief. Moving on. Can you love again? It was such a beautiful way to develop and evolve the character of Bridget, the themes of Bridget Jones, and just the world and the characters around her. Like everything fit into this new tone in a way that I just wasn't expecting. So this film's going on. It's already made me tear up once. And then about halfway through, I'm like, fuck, I'm just like finding it really funny. My fiance started to laugh at me laughing because she called me Chuckles McGee because I was chuckling away. It was really making me laugh. And then it hit me. And then I was like, wow. As someone who gets really stressed about British accents or any accent being wrong, because it's just something that I notice. I don't know why. Renée Zellweger's just doesn't bother me to the point where I forgot to even think about it. Like normally, even if it's good, I'm still thinking about it. Like even with Gillian Anderson or something like that. Wait, is she British? No one knows. I've actually forgotten. But yeah, with Renée Zellweger, I forgot, and I was halfway through. I was like, "Fuck." It's actually a bit of an underrated performance, and like, this is one of my like new things now. Is like, I'm gonna start like giving credit where credit is due to genre movies. So especially horrors and comedies and rom-coms. Because they're so underappreciated and they're so underawarded. And like that has changed a bit recently. We've had more like horror inflected dramas like Parasite getting awards. As I'm filming this, we've got Hugh Grant up for a Golden Globe for his role in a horror film, Heretic. So like, it's not a hard and fast rule, but I do think they are underrated. And I was like, this Bridget Jones performance is underrated. Like the way that she's developed this, she's managed to keep the ditziness, the lovableness, and that kind of childlike view of the world vibe, but put it in a mum, and it feels completely right and true. Like you really resonate with this feeling of this is a young, vibrant woman who has grown up, had kids, and she still is the same person. It didn't feel like she was too kind of Bridgety ditzy to have kids, but equally it didn't feel like she'd lost the ditziness to the point where it wasn't the same character. Do you know what I mean? So I was loving that, and the child actors weren't annoying, brilliant. And like I say, the way they kind of fit the older characters, the legacy characters into this new tone was perfect. So we've got the character of Colin Firth passed away, but popping up. That's in the trailer, popping up as like a kind of ghostly figure. We've got Hugh Grant just still being a bastard, you know, and that worked really well as like a friend. It was brilliant. And we've got the other friends, the three that are kind of generally around just having a drink. It was, and sorry, I'm flitting around, but it was just very well written. So like things were getting set up in Act 1 and they just kept paying off and paying off and paying off. And I don't want to ruin any of them, but there was like 4 kind of themes set up in Act 1. And I'm thinking about this a lot because I'm trying to write a screenplay on my series, Let's Write a Screenplay. Check it out on this YouTube channel. And I'm thinking about the structure of stories a lot and the way they were setting these things up, and some things I was locking onto and other things passed me by, and then they were all paying off later on. Bum, 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 one after another. And every fucking time I cried because it was always about grief or about companionship, moving on, finding love, all these little script notes coming back around at the end. And it made it feel effortless, but it's fucking hard. Like, it's, again, as someone who's trying to do this, but also in rom-coms in general, like you watch so many two-dimensional rom-coms, or at least we all did a decade ago, and this felt rich with depth and texture to me. It felt like the chemistry was there with the two love interests. The relationships worked for me. It felt like it felt true to the original comedy and ethos and style whilst updating it. So like a lot of the times when you have legacy comedy sequels at the moment, there'll be like much more comment on like PC culture or like, oh, so this is how things are done now. Like there's a couple of jokes like that in this film, sort of like a younger character asks Bridget Jones for a kiss and Bridget Jones goes, oh, a whole generation of men who ask before they kiss you. And like, it's a funny little quip, but I like it that it's not all based around purely a shift in generation. It just feels like another Bridget Jones film. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is a legacy sequel and the world's changed now and blah, blah, blah. No. She's just Bridget Jones. She's still a TV producer. She's just got kids and she's moving on. And it just felt like a direct continuation of the story of the character, and it felt really natural. And like I say, I was laughing all the way through. I cried 8 times, legitimately. And my fiance was crying. My friends were crying down the row. It felt, if there's a flaw, it felt like I was a bit wrong-footed by the shift into the third act, because it felt like there was this kind of swap in relationships, and I didn't realise that the film still had about 45 minutes to go. I thought it was going to wrap up quicker than that, and that just kind of, from a pacing point of view, wrong-footed me. The editing's not perfect. There's some quite jarring cuts between scenes that we discussed after. But what I know for sure is when the credits rolled, I felt the energy in the cinema, and that's something you can't manufacture. So many times you'll go see a film, the credits roll, and there's this like, you always know how good a film has been for the room with just those 20 seconds after the credits roll. You know, even if it's been a very somber drama, you can still feel like an energy. Obviously, it's easier with a comedy or with a musical like Wicked was and whatever. And anyway, in this case, the credits rolled and there was just this buzz, all this whispering and no one really getting up and people still dabbing their eyes and people I just looked around and I saw like loads of smiling faces and like, I was like, fuck, this really worked. This really worked. And like, we've really made a gem 10, 15 years after the peak of what is it, 20 years even? Yeah, 20 years after the peak of rom-coms and British rom-coms and whatever. We've made a little relic of that era, and it feels so great to watch as a millennial who grew up with that era and misses rom-coms. It feels so nice to see it again, done so well. And it just makes me think, maybe the rom-com could be back. maybe this could pave a small way for British rom-coms to be back. If not American ones, just British ones. That would be so nice to see them come out semi-regularly. I hope this does well at the box office. The cinema was full. And I just hope it does well so that there's a mandate to make maybe a new concept British rom-com. But yeah, brilliantly written, and a great new edition of the Bridget Jones franchise. And my fiance said after, oh, they should do more. And I thought, oh, this ended so perfectly. Should they do more, really? And then I was like, I mean, why not? They've proven they can develop the concept to this age and where she is in her life now. Maybe there is another step to take. I don't know. Or like I say, hopefully it does lead the way to other new stories and new characters and rom-coms. And yeah, I'm just, as you can tell, I had a really lovely time. So I gave this 8 out of 10. I don't know what happened last night, guys. I had one picante. I gave it 8 out of 10. And I think I stand by that. I think I had a really lovely time. That was on my Letterboxd account. So follow me on Letterboxd if you've got this far. You might as well, at Fred Asquith. And the link will be in the description to my website, which has the link to... Also on this channel, if you got this far, I'm writing a screenplay in the series Let's Write a Screenplay. I'm doing it with my good friend and journalist friend, Ian Aikman. And we're on episode 9 as you watch this. And it's the thing I'm most passionate and excited about in my life right now. And I don't really tell enough people. I haven't really started posting about it on any other platforms or anything. So this is kind of our little secret. So I spent like hours yesterday working on these ideas, and I'm so excited to film again with Ian. Like, I've tried long form series before. They just haven't stuck. This time we are so excited to carry on with this process, regardless of the fact it's being filmed. And that feels so good. Like, we wouldn't even need the cameras, and we would carry on with this, writing this screenplay and like working through these ideas and just enjoying that process. And turning the cameras on feels secondary to that journey. And that's when you know you've got a good one. So I would like you to get on board if you've got this far. Check out my channel, click on the fucking name, you know what you're doing. All right, Bridget Jones, go see it. Ta-ra.